Going back. If you see DSS, tell them say free Sowore. No going back. No going back. Oh, no going back. No going back. No going back. Oh, no going back. If you see DSS, tell them say free Sowore. No going back. No going back. Oh, no going back. If you see DSS, tell them say them free Sowore. No going back.
Nigeria people. Nigeria people. Courageous Nigeria people. Progressive Nigeria people. Articulate Nigeria people. Of the greatest go. Of the greatest go. Of the greatest Of the greatest go. Of the greatest go.
By struggle, freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Freedom come.
By struggle, freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
In Nigeria there must be freedom.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
In Nigeria there must be freedom.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
DSS will make you Sowore.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
DSS make you free a man.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Freedom come out by struggle.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
In Nigeria there must be freedom.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Freedom of expression.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Freedom of assembly and freedom.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Freedom come out by struggle.
Freedom come. By struggle, freedom come.
Democracy believes.
Say that democracy be this so. People they die like fowl. Say democracy, no nonsense. Say democracy begin. Say democracy be this so. People they die like fowl. Say democracy be
Greatest Nigeria people.
Greatest of the greatest Nigerian people. Greatest of the greatest Nigerian people. We are once again gathered here for the simple reason that as citizens of our country, we have been called to duty. And when we are called to duty, we must oblige. And that is why we came here early this morning, because we had some outrageous things yesterday. Some very, very outrageous things. Absolutely. That through a press statement by the Department of State Services, wherein they said that the reason why they had not complied with the valid order of court to release Sowore was because nobody came forward to accept him. And that's why we have obliged, and come here ourselves today. We have presented ourselves as comrades in the struggle to say we are here to receive Sowore, and that even many more, whether both in the diaspora and here at home, are on their way here. The essence of coming out is to make Nigerians aware that what we are currently witnessing in the country is not democracy. democracy.
Absolutely.
And that it is pure tyranny.
Absolutely.
And you know, the courts have severally ruled and spoken about the need for rule of law. And the locus classicus for this case is issue of Ojukwu and Lagos State government, wherein the court has said that once the court has made definite pronouncements that all parties must cease action, all parties, and that the decisions of court and the order of court must be respected by all parties, including the government. The court went further in that case to state that nobody needs to obey the law more than the government. Absolutely. Because the government cannot govern except with the rule of law. Absolutely. So, can we talk about rule of law without talking about all the violations of several court orders? This is not the first time the DSS is violating the valid order of court.
Yes.
The DSS violated the order of court in the first instance when they failed to release Sowore, and they now took him before another court, another judge. Now the court again has once again, given Sowore bail. He has met the conditions. The DSS, by their own admission yesterday, said yes, Sowore has met the conditions, and they are in receipt of the processes of court, and therefore that the reason why they are not releasing him is because there's nobody to receive him from them. Sowore is neither a 5-year-old, neither is he 8 years old, neither is he unmindful of how to find his way around Abuja, or if he's released that he will say he's not going. Therefore, we want Sowore released to us. This is the reason why we have come here. Very simple and straightforward. That we want Sowore released to us. While we have been here, we've spoken to top management staff of the DSS, and they've all been informing that they are not around, they are not in the office. We know that this is another ploy to keep Sowore unlawfully, detain him beyond what the court has prescribed. Again, we want to draw the attention of the country to the fact, especially the international community, that they should be mindful of all that is going on in our country. That any country where the orders of court is not obeyed, that such a country is practicing autocracy. Yes. And that is what we currently have in our country, Nigeria, today. Another factor that we must also not forget to state here today is the fact that basically we look at it, a situation where not even an arm of government, an agency or a separate arm of government, you understand, is violating the doctrine of separation of powers. Because the judiciary is an independent arm of government. Absolutely. And when it gives orders, because on all issues of arbitration, resolution of dispute, judicial review, it's only the judiciary that has the power. So the DSS cannot choose which order of court to obey and which order of court not to obey. So, and that is why we are drawing the attention of the international community to the fact that there are clear cases of violation of fundamental rights of the citizens, and there are clear cases of violation of the doctrine of separation of powers. And we know that constitutional democracy can only operate when the clearly defined doctrines around separation of powers is respected. That is the only way. That is the only way that the rule of law can be obeyed, and that is the only way that democracy can thrive. Democracy will not thrive if we continue to allow government agencies go against valid court orders. There is no way that our democracy will not be endangered if we continue to allow the DSS to perpetrate all these various violations of court. And you can see when we came here, you can see the hostility with which we were received, and you can see that there's a deliberate plot not to allow us gain access to the DSS premises. We said we want to speak to anybody. They said no, only the security officers would be allowed to speak to. We said no, we are not even interested in speaking to any security officer. Allow us in so that we can talk to any officer on duty. They said because it's a Saturday. We said, does that mean that there's no officer on duty? So you can see clearly that we run a country where they are waiting for orders. They are always waiting for orders from above, instead of doing what is right. Yes. And thank God that the lawyer of Omoyele Sowore is here. You understand? One of the lawyers is here. He has been with us since we came here over 1.5 hours ago, and I believe that he will brief us. Other comrades will be speaking. You understand? Thank you. So let the lawyer say a few words.
On the first day of October 2019, Honorable Justice Sowore, before whom the comrade Omoyele Sowore was going on, very rich earlier granted on the 4th of October 2019. Now that she partially buried that part of that because the conditions, terms and conditions of those orders were still stringently. The legal team, led by Mr. Femi Falana, took cogent steps at meeting the safeguard conditions. We told throughout the week, day and night, trying to see if we could pull the group, and eventually, finally, on the 5th of November 2019, we were able to meet the stringent bail conditions that we granted Mr. Malaysia. On the 6th of November 2019, the bailiff of the Federal High Court was at the premises of the DSS to serve the safe release order on the DSS. We were also here on the 6th at the headquarters of the State Security Services. 3 members of the team were mandated by Mr. Senator to come to the court to serve them the release order and to also meet with them on how we can receive Mr. Malaysia, who has been in detention of DSS since the 2nd of August 2019. We met with the legal team on that day from the DSS, and we also met Mr. Sowore on that day. They told us that they were going to call us back when he eventually decides to release. On 6th we were here, 7th we were here. We were here for very long, myself and some other members of the community. And Mr. Malaysia was not released to us. They told us they were going to call us back when the director, PG of the DSS is around to release Mr. Malaysia to us. Now, this must be stated very clearly. Once there's a court that mandates the release of a person in the custody of any government agency and institution, such an agency, once they have received the order, is bound to comply immediately. 5th we were here, Mr. Malaysia was not released to us. 6th we were here, 7th we were here. Yesterday they released a statement that nobody has come to receive Mr. Malaysia from their detention. So we're also here today again, and grant that we are here with the comrades, families, friends, and lawyers of Mr. Malaysia, and we're asking the DSS to please, in the interest of justice, in the interest of rule of law, release Mr. Malaysia to us to go with him. We've been here for the past 2 hours. We're demanding that Mr. Sowore be released to the lawyers and the families of Mr. Malaysia in line with the That's why we are here.
So your name? What would be the
name? I am Marshall.
What would be the next line of action if
they have acknowledged the fact that we've received the said court orders? They've also acknowledged the fact that we've been here on 2-3 occasions. And they also told us that they want to comply with the court orders. We have called all over the DSS, just the way that it's comply. So we're here waiting.
Thank you.
So, you know that we are joined by so many comrades. Again, I wish to draw the attention of everybody here to a very germane issue. That Mr. Sowore is currently not eating. He's on an hunger strike. You understand? And we are racing against time, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not. That somebody's fundamental human right is being trampled upon. A fellow Nigerian is being put beneath the law, and they are intentionally, trampling on his rights. So that is the main reason why we need to quickly and urgently intervene. We need to urgently intervene, and the DSS, you have called us to come. We are here. Release our property to us. You understand? You're the one that said that nobody came. Now we have come out to receive Sowore. You are giving us stories. Please, release Sowore to us. He's on hunger strike. We don't want anything bad to happen to him. Any attempt to keep Sowore beyond the time of service, is unconstitutional detention. You understand? And we all know the provision of law about unconstitutional detention. It simply says that no agency of government can detain a Nigerian except on the valid order of a court. Now, Sowore is being detained against court order. So we are joined today here by one of the coordinators of the core movement. I believe he's going to be talking to us. Then the revolution, the Take It Back movement are also going to be talking to us. So please, leader.
Well, the issues are clear, and I think as a nation it's quite saddening that we find ourselves in this kind of situation. It's over 48 hours that the government has defied the rule of law. for the second time. We are in a country where one would expect that with democracy being in place and with the way the masses of the people voted in this regime in 2015, though they found their way back in 2019, one would expect Muhammad Buhari to be the person who would respect the rule of law. But it's unfortunate, and that's why we are calling on the attention of the general populace. Nigeria is ours. It's happening to Sowore now. It can happen to anybody tomorrow. It means that we don't have a nation that is working if the government itself would not respect its own institution. That's anarchy. We're in the jungle. That's what it means. It means that there are no way, the government is not even different from the insurgents, we're having, the Boko Haram. It means that government is not different from the kidnappers.
Yes.
It means the government is not different from all those who are looting. Impunity is what we are happening.
Yes.
And that's why we are calling on the government to respect the rule of law. If you want a country to follow laws, you as the government at the helm of affairs, you must show example. You must show leadership. You must show direction. And that's why we are saying that we will be counting from today the number of hours that this present government itself is defying its own laws. It's already 48 hours as of today. And this gentleman in your custody, almost 100 days now. 100 days in custody. For just asking for the basic rights of Nigerians. For asking for minimum wage to be actualized. For asking that education should be a right for all. For asking that we should avoid all form of, injustice.
Corruption.
We should avoid corruption, systemic corruption. We should avoid killings to Nigerians. That is all he has asked for. And for 100 days, he's been in custody. And yet, even the court says he should be released for the second time. In a country where we ought to have rule of law, under a democracy. For God's sake, an injustice to one is an injustice to all. Nigerians must understand that this is the time to save democracy in this country. This is the time for us to come all out. We'll be counting for them. And hopefully, within the shortest period of time, we'll be mobilizing the Nigerian people to come all out. We all must fight for this. It's not about Sowore. It's about our sovereignty as a people.
Yes.
As a country, we must fight for this. And that's why we're urging everybody that we should be on our toes. These people are about killing, snuffing life out of the democratic rule that we think we have. This is the time to stand up and fight for it.
Yes.
And luta continua.
So again, you have heard what the comrade said. You know, basically, Thomas Jefferson once said, once the people are afraid of the government, there's tyranny. But when the government is afraid of the people, there's democracy. Simple as ABC. Nigerians are afraid of their government. President Buhari does not need any soothsayer to tell him that he is operating a tyrannical government. The DSS does not need anybody to tell them that citizens are afraid of them. So, because when we do not place premium on doing the right thing, citizens will become too afraid and too scared to challenge their government. It is the duty of every Nigerian, and like I always say, to challenge government. When government is not getting it right, we should challenge the government. So at this junction, I'll be calling on the Organizing Secretary of AAC to please give some remarks.
Greatest Nigerian people.
Great.
It is so painful for us to be where we are today. For a young man who is more dependable than the government, coming to ask Nigerians, come out, ask for what is rightfully yours. And what are these things? Simple, basic, enjoyment rights of Nigerians that the Constitution has enshrined for all of us to benefit from. And then he was being picked up. For no reason, you kept him for 45 days. An order came, released this guy, you said, no, you are more than the court of law. the court of law again, where you went back to seek a favor, gave stringent bail conditions to this young man to say, guy, this guy should be released. Omoyele Sowore. You decided to keep him again, and then you lied. You lied because on countless occasions we have been coming to the DSS with the lawyers to serve them the court order for him to be released. And yesterday they came out to say it is a lie, nobody have come. And here we are today. And only the excuse we are getting now is it's a weekend. It's a weekend. All the management staff are not picking up. Anyone who does pick up will tell you he's not around, he's wherever. We are telling Nigerians, you might be in your house today watching, you might be in your house today hearing what's going on here. But the truth is, it's not about Omoyele Sowore. It's about the soul of this country. It's about you. Our parents have failed us. Here comes a young man who has been consistent for the past 30 years, challenging bad government. The governance that is not pro the masses, he always challenges it. Our parents were too scared to stand with Sowore 30 years ago. They are also scared today because they are weak. They are no longer as youthful as they were. Today we are not going to sit back as our parents did. We will keep coming out, showing that support, because it's not about Omoyele Sowore. It's about myself standing here today. Yes. It's about you watching wherever you are. It's about the children which will be coming into this country as the next generation. So it's not about Omoyele Sowore. And for Nigerian youths who are always running to social media to insult him, well, we pray this never befall you or any member of your family. But we are not changing our stand.
Yes, absolutely.
We're still telling them we are not going back. Absolutely. We are not going back. Look, you might not see the number. You might not see the number. But one thing is sure, that Omoyele Sowore is growing what we call organic support all over the world. The world is standing with you. Nigerians are standing with you. You might not be standing now, but we know you will surely stand. But we pray it won't be too late. Thank you very much. So my name is Comrade Oshops.
Greatest Nigeria people.
Great.
You know, it is very important that we make some things clear. And the number one thing we need to let the world know is that it is not hard to know a shameless government. The present General Buhari-led government of Nigeria is a shameless government. And you see, we must call it as such. Because it is only a shameless government that will take pride in failure. It is only a shameless government that will be proud despite failing consistently. They have tried all sorts of gimmicks. They have tried all sorts of tricks. They have tried to rewrite the story that we know ourselves to be true. They have tried to malign a man who has committed no sin. They've tried to jail a man whose only demand has been liberation and freedom. You all know that they have tried to accuse Sowore of terrorism, but they have failed. They have tried to accuse Sowore of collusion with insurgents, but they have failed. They have tried to accuse Sowore of treason, but they have failed. And now, what they are doing is they are trying to repaint the image of a man that we all know to be incorruptible, to be loyal, to be fearless and patriotic. They are trying to tell us that the Omoyele Sowore that we know, that Nigerians revere for fighting for them, for fighting for a better Nigeria, is a man without support. That he is a man who is fighting a lone fight. But as you can see today, we are here to dispute that. Exactly. We are here to set the record straight. We are here to make it very clear that the Omoyele Sowore that the DSS has tried to malign and failed is a man of inestimable worth. That the Omoyele Sowore that they have tried to malign is a hope of a dying nation. That the Omoyele Sowore that they have tried to malign is not one of those who have continued to loot this country dry. Yes. That Omoyele Sowore is the hope and future of our country. Exactly. That Omoyele Sowore represents what Nigeria should aspire to. Absolutely. That Omoyele Sowore represents the voice of the voiceless. That Omoyele Sowore represents an image of a liberator for the masses.
Yes.
And so the DSS and the Buhari-led government cannot rewrite the story that we know.
Yes.
They cannot malign a man that cannot be maligned. They cannot falsify a story that is already known to the entire world.
Exactly.
Today, in case the DSS does not know, the image of the DSS before the entire world is that they are a department of a tyrannical regime. It is that they are a front runner in a repressive agenda of a government that is completely directionless. It is that they are a wing of a dictatorial regime.
Exactly.
So let the DSS make no mistake. We know that they will keep coming up with gimmicks just so they can continue to weaken or try to weaken the base, the support base of Sowore. But let something be clear to them. You see, it has been made known all over the world that truth has 3 stages. At first, people will deny it and they will ridicule it. Then secondly, they will begin to doubt, are you sure this thing is true or not? Should we give it a thought or not? And then finally they will come to terms with it. You see, Nigerians have already they've come to terms with the truth. They have come to terms with the fact that Omoyele Sowore is a friend of Nigeria.
Yes.
That Omoyele Sowore is a liberator in Nigeria.
Yes.
That Omoyele Sowore represents the voice that is consistently growing dry in Nigeria. That Omoyele Sowore is the face of the faceless in Nigeria. That Omoyele Sowore is what Nigeria should aspire to. And so let us make no mistake that Omoyele Sowore is an enemy of this nation, because he is not. Let us make no mistake that Omoyele Sowore has no support, because he does. Let us make no mistake that we who are here today are going to be tired of coming out to demand the immediate release of Omoyele Sowore, because we will not. And let us make something very clear to the DSS. As you can see all over the world, citizens are rising to defend their fundamental human rights.
Yes.
Citizens are rising to demand better governance.
Exactly.
And Nigeria will not be left out.
Yes.
And so we are making it clear that that revolution that they don't want to hear, there is already a global revolution happening.
Exactly.
And it will take no time. This revolution will happen in Nigeria.
Exactly.
And we want to beg them so that they will not be the downfall of their own government. So that they will not implicitly cause the downfall of their own government. It is in their own best interest, the DSS and the General Buhari-led government, that you release Omoyele Sowore. Because you see, the global revolution that is happening is like hair. It is flowing from one place to another, and you cannot contain breeze. You can't. And that breeze is telling us that it is nearer and nearer and nearer to Nigeria.
Exactly.
But don't let us start this revolution with Omoyele Sowore, because if we do, you people will not be able to control it. You people will not be able to say that, had we known. And so we are saying now that the DSS must take cognizance of the rule of law in this country. That the DSS must take cognizance of the fact that it cannot continue to operate as a wing of a dictatorial regime. It must take cognizance of the fact that the time has come for it to stop this dance of shame. So we make it very clear once again that if they refuse to release Omoyele Sowore, then they should be ready for daily sittings in this place. Thank you.
Greatest of the greatest Nigerian people.
Praise.
Ever courageous Nigerian people.
Praise.
You know, the truth of the matter is that we want to make an announcement to the DSS that we will always be here.
Absolutely.
Until the right thing is done. The only way to make sure that that we are not here is to release Sowore. If they insist that they would, because these are not working days, on the working day we'll still be here. So they have nothing to worry about. We are going to become regular customers. Thank God that many of us were already regular customers.
Exactly.
Again, I will, at this point in time, I would want Comrade Juwon to please address the guy.
Let me start first. When masses take over streets, when masses take over streets, all oppressors, them go run away. When masses take over streets, when he rose, I remember, when he rose, Sowore, you dey among them. when Luther, I remember, when Luther, I remember, Buhari, you dey among them, when Luther, I remember, when tyrant, I remember, when tyrant, I remember, Buhari, you dey when tyrant, I remember. Well, there is a saying that goes thus, that history occurs in two ways. First, it occurs as a tragedy, and then as a farce. Muhammadu Buhari as a military head was a dictator, an unregrettable tyrant. And now, in this so-called democracy, in which I particularly like to brand as ruling class dictatorship, he has once again proved to the world that unrepentantly is a tyrant. But it is quite unfortunate that I have to make a quote from one of the most illiterate and unpopular persons, who ordinarily we should have condemned to the dustbin of our dark past, and that is Baba Adedibu. The way Baba Adedibu described the state forces, they described them as a private armed thug of the ruling class, of the government. Now, please tell me, were the past events and occurrences that have happened so far that has led the arrest and victimization of former election rep and the brutalization of protesters and even intimidation of journalists? Can you tell me here and here that as literate as Adedibu was, he is not more educated than some of our professors who are defending this system? Because as it stands now, how do you describe a government that does not want to obey court order? How do you describe an agency that, despite court order by Justice Taiwo, is still kept Sowore and mandate in perpetual detention? Despite subsisting court order by Justice Ijoma, DSS and Buhari is still rendering the court useless. And let us say it very clear, it will not profit Buhari or any section of the ruling class that Nigeria degenerates into barbarism, because that is exactly where they are taking us to. If they have concluded that the courts are irrelevant, let them close the courts. If they have concluded that the courts are irrelevant, let them close all the law schools. If they know that our laws are useless, let them close the faculty of law in the university. Let them shut everywhere, and let us all know that we have to settle everything by fisticuffs. And let me also make this clear. As Nigerians, we would not stop until our fundamental human rights had been granted. I want to remind us that for a very long time, the government had suspended the constitution. We did not know. But the demands made by Sowore and every other Nigerians for proper form of education, for an end to insecurity in the country, for an economy that works for all, is a show that indeed the government has suspended the constitution and even violated for a very long time. What exactly did Sowore raise that is not enshrined in the constitution? If we check to the chapter 2 of the constitution, it stated clear that the government shall not run the economy in a way that profits only the minority. Yes. The government is doing exactly that, and Sowore decided to be lawless, decided to be lawful, and ascertain that the Nigerian government obeyed the law. The chapter 2 of the constitution stated clearly that free and functional education is for all. And this is exactly what Sowore raised. And this same chapter 2 stated clearly that government shall strive hard to obey all of these rules. But unfortunately, the person who decides to be lawful, the person who decides to raise constitutional question, is being made the victim of ridicule. But for us as Nigerians, we will not take this tyranny anymore. We will stand until justice is assured. Thank you.
So
Yalu Juwon.
Yeah. Thank you, Comrade Juwon. Because of the intensity of the sun, we'll have one more speaker. Just one more speaker. And after the one more speaker, then we'll do some gyrations and we will do the needful. Kunle Wiseman Ajayi is my name here as General Secretary of United Action for Democracy. You have listened to every other person that has spoken today, and something is very clear. That Mr. Peter Afunaya lied to the whole world yesterday that it is we, the families, friends, comrades, and lawyers of Omoyele Sowore that did not come from him. He tried to portray to the whole world that Sowore loved his own trials. But we want to say here that Sowore is not on trial. For the past 100 days, the 5-point demand of the Coalition for Revolution has been defeated again and again by the ruling class of Nigeria. And it has been clear that Omoyele Sowore is not on trial. One of the demands is free, functional, and compulsory education at all levels. The National Assembly, through President Muhammadu Buhari and all the shenanigans of government, decided to give 48 billion naira to education, 46 billion naira to healthcare, and to arrogate to itself 125 billion naira. The combination of 46 billion and 48 billion have just about 29 billion naira difference with 125 billion that is allocated to just some persons who were elected to be in government. So Omoyele Sowore is not on trial. President Muhammadu Buhari for the past 100 days have spent the money of the federal government on himself and his family, and currently now is in London spending our billions on his personal health care, while he closed the border where masses of Nigeria have been trying to scamper little things, peanuts from the services sector, with which the structural adjustment program since 1985 have plundered Nigerian economy into. We have been able to ask this government, where are the industries that are producing rice that the federal government have instituted? Where are the industries that are producing textiles? At a point in the history of Nigeria, textiles used to give 250,000